Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Opal Luna, and I'm here to talk to you about the pentagram. Mephistopheles says, "Let me admit, a tiny obstacle forbids me walking out of here. It is the druid's foot upon your threshold." To this, Faust asks, "The pentagram distresses you? But tell me then, you son of hell, if this impedes you, how did you come in? How can your kind of spirit be deceived?" And Mephistopheles answers, "Observe. The lines are poorly drawn. That one, the angle pointing upward, you see there? A little open. I think we should take a closer look at this druid's foot and what this means to us. So the pentagram has been the oldest marking known to mankind. Its meaning has varied throughout history, different religions, and across the different cultures. And it's been depicted as a symbol of unity, evil, the elements, the divine goddess, and believed to represent Satanic and Christian beliefs. 5,000 years ago, pentagrams appeared in Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt, and China. How did this happen in all these different places at the same time? Take a look at the picture there. I'm going to hand out pictures here so that you don't have to strain to see it. Take one and pass it on so you can. But the slide one there is a picture of a petunia, a starfish, and the cross section of an apple. And what they all have in common is that star shape. So the pentagram originated in nature. That explains why it has such widespread use. Artists and poets, philosophers and scientists were inspired by this shape. They looked down to the earth and they saw it everywhere. They looked up to the heavens and they saw it there too. And the mathematicians lost their minds. They just went bonkers. Let's take a look and see how this has come out in many ancient cultures have used this shape. Early pentagrams have been found on Early pentagrams have been found on Sumerian pottery from Ur, circa 3500 BCE. And the five-pointed star was at various times the symbol of Ishtar and Marduk to the Babylonians. The pentagram appears in the earliest writings of Mesopotamia, even pre-cuneiform pictographic writings in the 30,000 BCE. It was used as the Sumerian sign for a corner or an angle. It's believed that the pentagram was used as a symbol of protection in ancient Egypt. The Egyptians associated it with their goddess Ishtar. They believed that she could help them bring prosperity to their lives. And in China, the 5 points would represent the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And the balance of all this would be feng shui. Among Muslims, the pentagram is known as one of Solomon's seals, and its 5 points are regarded by some as representing love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And in Babylonia, the 5 points of the shape was said to refer to Jupiter, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, and Venus. Astrologists notice that the planet Venus aligns with Earth in 5 fixed points over the course of 8 years, forming a pentagram in space. And the dance that the two planets do forms the pattern called the Venus rose, a 5-petaled flower. Let's look at slide number 2, and we'll see what that looks like. Now, this is an idyllic depiction. We know that planets do not have perfectly circle orbits and everything revolves around the sun. As because we're not flat earthers, but but this is just to show you that at 5 times over the period of 8 years, the Earth is looking straight through Venus to the sun. And if you chart those 5 points, you can connect the dots into a very nice pentagram. And then the other picture is the Venus rose. That's when you're looking at Earth, you're taking Earth as a fixed point. And that is the path of the dance that Venus does around the sun and comes close to the Earth 5 times in 8 years. Go to the next slide, and there's a little video that will show us what it looks like. Every time Earth and Venus catch up to each other, another line. Real time, this will take 8 years. Another joint. Yeah. This one is from the viewpoint of Venus. It will actually make the pentagram inside a pentagon. Wow. This next one is called the flower of Venus. This is when you use Earth as a stationary point. This is what Venus going in that. The Earth is going around the sun too, but we're
This is what they're trying to figure out when they're trying to figure out how heliocentrism versus Earth centrism. They're trying to figure this shit out. That's amazing.
Oh, it's a flower. Isn't that beautiful? It's called the flower of Venus. The Venus rose, and the Earth right in the middle of the
That is incredible.
Isn't that good? Now, can you imagine looking up at the night sky in ancient times, before light pollution, before any man-made objects were up there. I mean, sometimes I look at the constellations, maybe they were a little more obvious back then, because you could see all the
Right.
stars. You know, now you look up and they're like, star, 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 horsey, and I'm like, horsey? You know, but maybe back then you saw all these things. They saw enough to make all these assumptions. And it's just now that with all our gadgets that we can prove that they were right.
Mhm.
I find that pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about ancient Greece, okay? There was a philosopher named Pythagoras that believed that every number had a unique magical property. And his very special one was the number 5. The number 5 represented human life to him for various reasons, because we have 5 extremities. We can form a star by putting our arms and legs out, and then the head is the 5th point. We have 5 senses. We have 5 fingers on each hand. We have 5 toes on each foot. So this was very special to them. The Greeks actually gave us the word pentagram, which means 5 lines. They revered the pentagram as perfection mathematically, and beginning with the idea that the sum of the first odd and the first even number equals 5. They did not believe that 1 was a number. 1 is the loneliest number you'll ever do. But 2.3, 2 plus 3 equals 5. So 5 was their perfect number. The pentagram was chosen by Pythagoras and his followers as a symbol of identification. Maybe they had cards like ours.
Mhm.
So that they would recognize each other. It was the perfect example of the golden ratio. Okay, listen up. The golden ratio is a special ratio between 2 quantities in which the ratio between the 2 quantities is equal to the ratio of their sum to the larger of the 2 quantities.
That's a lot of.
That's fascinating.
I will show you. This is a golden pentagram, right? And the red line has the same ratio to the green that the green has to the blue, that the blue has to the black. Pi's cousin phi is 1.618. That is the number of the golden ratio. So whatever length this line segment is, if you times it by 1.618, you'll get the blue. If you times the blue by 1.618, you get the green. And if you times the green by 1.618, you'll get the red. Every line segment is the same. Every angle is the same, outside and inside. And when all these 5 lines are placed in this order, you get a golden pentagon in the center that you can make a golden pentagram in, which will have a golden pentagon, which will have a golden pentagram, all the way down infinity to microscopic levels, and all the way out infinity to universal levels. Take that, Mephistopheles.
Right.
You ain't getting anywhere, dude. We got you trapped. So this was just, this was geometry. Yes.
That was geometry.
Okay, so let's try this ourselves. Turn your page over.
Which one?
Turn your page to the back so that you have a blank sheet of paper in front of you, and pick up any star on the table and any marker on the table. Right? You can come up to the table if you want to. You take a star and you put it down on a piece of paper. Take a marker and put a dot at each one of the points of that star. Okay. And you're going to number them The one at the top is 1, and then going around clockwise, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now connect the dots. 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 back to 1, and you have created a very nice pentagon, which is not an easy shape to draw all by itself, but now you've got a very nice pentagon there. Now, if you want to put a pentagram, okay, I'll give you a minute. If you want to put a pentagram inside your pentagon, you start at 1 and then you skip every other number. So you go 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 2, and 2 to 4. And then 4 back up to 1 gives you a very nice pentagram.
I remember doing this when I was a kid and loving drawing these things.
Right?
No one
How
ever told me it
wonderful.
was magic.
Right? This is the basis for the ritual that we had at turning the tides. We all went into circle. We had 5 points on the circle. Spirit, air, fire, water. No. Spirit, air, fire, earth, water, and back to spirit. Now, the spellcaster, the Starcaster handed Spirit a rope and then went around the 5 points and created a pentagon.
Mhm.
And then the narrator asked Spirit and fire what they had, what they offered, and then went around to each of the points and created a pentagram inside of our ritual space. It was very powerful.
It was.
And we want to reenact it
Yeah,
here
that's
for
really
the
cool.
Grove during the full moon drumming of May 24th. And I'm hoping that Martha Kappa will come up and lead us because she did an excellent job. But that's what made it so magical. We were in a circle, in a pentagon, and created a pentagram.
Mhm.
Awesome. Because this symbol was so perfect, folks began to think it was a deterrent to evil spirits, and therefore it could guard against dis-ease or disease. They assigned the 5 elements to the points, and it became a sort of a health charm that you could carry with you. Earth, air, water, fire, and then the ethereal spirits that hovered over everything in perfect balance. The idea that the number 5 was sacred resulted in creating a 5th element, quintessence. And when added to the previous 4, that formed the human being. So they were saying that the human being had spiritual qualities within them from this symbols. Let's look at slide 3. There we go, the Platonic solids. So 200 years later, Plato determined the Platonic solids. This is a tetrahedron and a hexahedron. If you notice, he also assigned them the elements. The tetrahedron is fire, the hexahedron is earth, the octahedron is air, the icosahedron is water, and this one is the entire universe. This one is spirit. This one is the dodecahedron. It is 12 hexagons put together. And 12 is another good number, 12 months in a year, 12 signs in the zodiac. So you've got a lot of numerology here. And if you look At any one of these
Yeah.
plates, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 connected to it. No matter which way you turn it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 connected to it. 12.
I made a paper one of those in 8th grade.
That's the dodecahedron. That was the most
Oh,
special
look at
shape.
that.
Jump another 100 years, and you've got somebody you might recognize from high school geometry, Euclid. In my geometry book, Euclid was called the father of geometry. He wrote the book about geometry. He outlined geometry in his book Elements, a 13-part book of math. And though the fundamentals were likely sourced from ancient Egypt, he didn't invent anything. He's the one that wrote it all down and proved it. He proved the Pythagorean theorem of a squared plus b squared equals c squared. He described the formation of these Platonic solids, and he proved that there's only 5. This is like another whole presentation, these solids, but that there's only 5. And spoiler alert, the reason why there's only 5 is because if you added more angles, you'd get more degrees. And if you go over 360 degrees, you get a ruffle. It's not solid. So you can't make a solid out of it. And funny enough, my 10th grade geometry teacher, Miss Ankenbrandt, would be very proud of me now because I use all these principles in crocheting every day. I can crochet a cone shape. I can crochet a flat circle. I can crochet a ruffle. And I'm using these principles of geometry even when I'm not writing out formulas. I'm writing out patterns that created in the real world. Miss Ankenbrandt, was a nun who left the convent and became a 10th grade geometry teacher. I don't know what she was atoning for, but she was great. And she would give us extra credit if we made pretties. And I had a spirograph, so I got a lot of extra credit with a very little effort. But if she was here tonight, man, I'd be blowing her mind. She'd be getting back to the nunnery after this. She'd be proud of me. We see the star very, very often in nature. And you can see that the solids are made up of things that you would see in crystal formations, except for that dodecahedron. That's very uncommon to have a polygon in nature, except I've got the perfect example here. This is my treasure. This is pyrite. I'm going to pass this around so you can look closely at it. There are pentagons in the spokes.
Oh.
You see the little bitty pentagons? Pyrite, or fool's gold, is formed through the natural combination of iron and sulfur. Metaphysically, pyrite is celebrated as a stone of abundance, manifestation, and protection. Its golden energy is believed to attract wealth, prosperity, and opportunities while enhancing one's confidence and willpower. Pyrite is known to stimulate the solar plexus chakra and promoting vitality, creativity, and assertiveness. It is also revered for its shielding properties, deflecting negative energies, and promoting a sense of inner strength and resilience. You might hear more about it in Metallurgy Part 2. Who knows? So there again is another example of nature nature is where these things started. People did not make this up. They observed it. They did not, they did not even discover it. They just saw it for the first time. I don't like the word discover. It was there the whole time. It's just new to us. Okay. Let's skip ahead to the Middle Ages, where the pentagram was one of the main symbols of early Christianity. You'll see it in historic churches and buildings. The pentagram was believed to repel evil, so it was often placed on the front entryways and windows. Pentagrams were used as a symbol of the 5 knightly virtues. In the poem Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, Sir Gawain wears a pentagram on his shawl and on his shield. And that marking marks his friendship, generosity, chastity, courtesy, and piety. There's lots of things that you can think of 5 of, right? That's why the star is, it's a symbol of excellence. When you do a good job, you get a gold star, right? Christians used it as to represent the 5 wounds of Christ, the Star of Bethlehem, and because the pentagram can be created in one fluid movement without lifting your pencil, it is linked to the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Let's see slide 4. The beginning and the end is great symbolism for pagans too. When calling quarters, we sometimes make the sign of the pentagram in each direction. Holding the image of the Alpha and Omega makes it much bigger than ourselves. Now, I'm going to talk about Panda now, even though he's not here. He was very excited I was going to talk to him about him tonight. But if you ever notice Panda during a ritual, every time. He makes the sign of the pentagram in every single quarter, and he does it correctly, and he does the proper element, and then he releases them properly. I think we should all learn how to do that. So you can stand if you are more comfortable, you can do it in your seat. But we're going to start with a very exaggerated motion so we can get the muscle memory down. Lots of times when we make pentagrams, they're wonky because we overcompensate for that very first line. We go whoop, and then we don't know where to go from there, right? We're out in left field, right field, literally. Okay, so the pentagram in the picture is an invoking earth pentagram, and that is your go-to default pentagram. If you don't know what direction you're facing, we're all on the earth, so you can start with the earth, right? The earth is your left foot. And you take your magical tool, your pointer finger, and you point down just past your left foot to the side of your left foot. That is earth. Straight up over your head is spirit. Straight down to just past your right foot, to the side of your right foot, is fire. Your left shoulder is water, and your right shoulder is air. And then you go back down to the earth, and you've made a perfect pentagram. Once you can do that, exaggerated, you should be able to do it in front of you. Just imagine the earth, the spirit, the fire, the water, the air, and back down to earth. Then you can do it quite easily in the corners. Now, when we do ritual, we start in the east, right? So we're facing the east. So we're going to start in the east. The east is your right shoulder. And you're still going to go down to the earth because remember, we're going to go clockwise. To call the quarters, we don't go clockwise. To release the quarters, we go the other way, right? So if you start in the east, you go down to the earth, you go up to spirit, you go down to fire, you go over to water, and back to the east, back to air. Turn to fire. Now you're down here, right? But you're gonna go, still gonna go clockwise. So you're gonna go up to water, over to earth, down to, over to air, down to earth, and up to spirit, and back down to fire. Turn again to the west, and now you're at your left shoulder. Still gonna go clockwise. So you're gonna go water to air, down to earth, up to spirit, down to fire, and back to water. And then you're gonna turn to the north, and you're gonna start down in the earth. And you're gonna go up to spirit, down to fire, over to water, to air, and back down to earth. Aha. And then Panda kisses it and flicks it away. I got pentagrams in all those trees out there that he's flicked everywhere. Now, if you're going to banish at the end of the ritual, you're going to banish. If you just do it backwards, you go. Yes, you have to really think. You go backwards. You go the other way, and that just gave me an idea of the banishing ritual for Ostara.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Okay. We may have to do some more of these banishing pentagrams. Okay. So now that you've done that in the air, you should be able to draw.
No, I cannot.
Yeah, you should be able to draw it. Because all you need is a circle with 5 points on it, and I've given you that. So draw yourself a pentagram that's not wonky. By the way, if you need the circle with 5 dots, you can get Fiber Magic, a witch's guide to. And here, this is the formula for making this tablecloth. Believe it or not, this was 3 years ago with professional color correction. This tablecloth has seen a lot of workshops, a lot of festivals, been through the washing machine. All the white paint is washed off. I put gold, needs another paint job, but it feels so nice.
That's much less wonky.
Much less wonky. This tablecloth went all the way to Minnesota to get its picture taken for this book.
Oh,
So
you invented a Woodbury tablecloth. Good for you.
yes, it has. All right.
Yes, I know exactly where it went.
So let's jump ahead to the Renaissance. During the Renaissance, humanists were a cultural movement that refused medieval academia, whatever that was, and embraced the beliefs of ancient Greeks and Romans. They believed that the circle was sacred and represented God, and the square was the earth and represented the physical realm. So thus the human forming a circle or the 5-pointed star, the pentagram within the circle could transcend beyond the physical world and into the spiritual symbolically. When we cast a circle in ritual, we are humans in a circle. And we talk about being between the worlds. And this is correct. We have transcended from purely physical to something that includes the spiritual. And that is represented by the circle. Could we look at slide 5? Okay, Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. It depicts a man forming a circle with his arms and legs outstretched. Placing him inside a square and circle, Leonardo da Vinci is demonstrating metaphorically that humans can exist in the spiritual and physical realm at the same time. Vitruvius was an ancient Roman architect, and the words at the top and the bottom of the page are Vitruvius's words, and they go like, they're in Latin, but they go like 5 fingers equals a palm, and 4 palms equals a cubit, and on and on. It's the architect of man. And it's really saying that man and the universe are made of the same stuff, and it can be spiritual as well as physical. What's really interesting about all these philosophers, they were architects, they were artists, they were scientists, they were doctors, they were lawyers, they were everything. And everything was included in their world. So this spirituality was included in the buildings they built, or they used these symbols to enrich. It was just like richer life than just slapping up plaster, cedar, and whatever. It was good. It was good. It was old world
Beauty.
beauty, workmanship, right? Now, at the same time in Germany, that other picture, right? That other picture is Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa von Nettelsheim.
Oh, Agrippa.
Yeah, he was in a Renaissance in Germany. He was a physician, a lawyer, a soldier, a theologian, and he wrote the occult book entitled De Occulta Philosophia, which comprises of 3 books, and in it he analyzes the widely held belief that the universe is modeled on human design and possesses a soul. I'm not sure about that, but he did put the pentagram on his man, and he assigned each point a celestial body. So Mars is at his head, and Jupiter his right arm, Saturn his right leg, Mercury his left leg, Venus his right arm, and the moon at his genitals. So here he was, again, just like Da Vinci, combining the physical and metaphysical into one thing. Now, even going farther, closer to us, the pentagram is a prevalent symbol in the Freemasons, and the majority of our founding fathers were Freemasons, and that's why you've got pentagrams hiding in plain sight all over America, on the dollar bill, the National Mall, the Great Star Flag of 1837, the Pentagon, the Medal of Honor, and even the national flag. And like I said, most flags have stars on it. Stars are a symbol of excellence. Doing a good job, you get a gold star, right? Up until 1861, the pentagram had only positive connotations and spiritual meanings, until the French occultist Eliphas Levi and his book, Transcendental Magic, Its Doctrine and Ritual. This is what Levi writes in his book. The reversed pentagram with 2 points projecting upward is a symbol of evil and attracts sinister forces because it overturns the proper order of things and demonstrates the triumph of matter over spirit. It is the goat of lust attacking the heavens with its horns. The flaming star, which when turned upside down is the hieroglyphic sign of the goat of black magic, whose head may then be drawn in the star. The 2 horns at the top, the ears at the left and right, the beard at the bottom. Let us keep the figure of the 5-pointed star always upright, with the topmost triangle pointing to heaven, for it is the seat of wisdom, and if the figure is reversed, perversion and evil will be the result. Thank you for the warning, Levi, but nobody was doing that. Nobody was thinking that the pentagram was anything but a sign of beauty and harmony and spirituality.
Like what those bastards did to the swastika.
Exactly, exactly so. And as well intentioned as he might have been, he laid it out.
Right.
He laid it out.
He gave them.
Right. So inspired by Levi, years later, Aleister Crowley used the pentagram in his occult practice as a banishing ritual to trap and disperse demons or troublesome entities. And in 1966, the occultist Anton LaVey founded the Church of Satan, and inspired by Levi's description of the pentagram, created their symbol and logo called the Sigil of Baphomet. Let's see. Slide 666. I did that on purpose. There it is. There it is. Sometimes referred to as the Satanic Pentagram. Exactly what Levi was warning us not to do, they did. And I want to warn you here tonight, everyone, that that is a registered trademark of the Church of Satan. And great evil will come down upon you in the form of a lawsuit if you take that sigil in vain. But what does it all mean? The Church of Satan does not worship the devil. And instead, members are atheists. On their website's frequently asked questions page, they write, "We see the universe as being indifferent to us, and so all morals and values are subjective human constructions. Our position is to be self-centered, with ourselves being the most important person, the God of our subjective universe. So we are sometimes said to worship ourselves. Our current high priest Gilmore calls this the step moving from being an atheist to being an atheist. Satan to us is a symbol of pride, liberty, and individualism. And it serves as an external metaphorical projection of our highest personal potential. We do not believe in Satan as a being or person. But fictional movies and television have villainized this sacred symbol, pairing it with sinister intentions, dark magic. And unfortunately, Hollywood magic has very powerful effects. And many people genuinely believe that the Satanic Pentagram is truly nefarious. During the Satanic Panic of the 80s, I was there, I remember this. This misinformation caused schools to prohibit students from wearing pentagrams or jewelry or attire. Later, this was ruled to be a breach of the First Amendment and religious rights. The pentagram was recognized as a religious symbol in April of 2007. And I think we all remember that when Selena Fox announced that the pentagram can now be placed on the graves of fallen service members at Arlington National Cemetery. So today, most spiritual practitioners see the pentagram as a symbol of protection. It represents harmony and balance, or knowledge and guidance from the universe or from the divine. Let's go back to that very first slide, please. Let's remind ourselves that the pentagram existed first in nature. So the pentagram will always have a place in our pagan hearts and minds and arms and legs. So mote it be!